Hey mama, are you a married mom who's ready to take back control of each of the roles that you play in your life? Do you want to strengthen your marriage, master emotional regulation, improve communication, and confidently use your voice to create deeper connection and mutual understanding with your husband? Are you eager to cultivate your self-esteem, enhance your personal skills, and nurture your individuality to make sure that you're not only a better wife and parent, but also a fulfilled woman in your own right, so that you can be a strong leader for your family, but also just feel fulfilled in your own life? Welcome to Married Moms Take Control. Today we're diving into the profound transformation journey available to every married mom. I'm Nevart Willborn, I'm your host, and I'm here to guide you through a framework that can help you meet your full potential in your role as wife, mother, and individual. So let me tell you a little bit about myself, what we're doing here, what I'm doing with you. So for those of you who have followed me before, then you know that I'm a therapist. I own a private practice and a group practice, and I have several therapists that work for me. And in addition to doing that, I love working with people outside of the therapy context. And this podcast is not new. It is being rebranded. So previously, I actually have changed it a couple of times. So my growth journey in this has been really fun. So a few years ago, I started a podcast that was just a general therapy podcast. And then about a little over a year and a half ago, I rebranded it. And I made it into a podcast that was really for couples, married couples who were working to reprioritize their marriage after having children. And it was so much fun. But as I did that, I really recognized that my passion is really in working with the moms, the married moms who really want to learn how to cultivate their identity as a woman, as a wife, as a mom, as kind of the keeper of all the things in the home, and really the person that ultimately runs the home. And so as I kind of realized that that's really where I wanted to focus, I found someone to help me. I hired a new coach. She's been amazing. And I have really worked hard to bring you a brand new podcast with a really awesome kind of trajectory for you. I've planned it out in a way that I haven't planned out any of the other podcasts. And I'm really excited because I'm going to take you through so many stages from where you are now as a wife, as a mom, as a woman, to where you could be in a way that leaves you feeling much more fulfilled. Kind of like I told you in the intro, where you can master that emotional regulation, be better at communicating, be more confident in who you are, finding your voice. And I love what I'm creating, and I'm so excited to be able to bring this to you. So by the end of this episode, you're going to understand what it means to take control of each of the roles that you play as a woman, as a wife, as a mom. So let me tell you a little bit about my story. So usually when you'll find anyone that loves working with a population, a lot of the times they have their own journey that really brought them to where this is a passion. So for me, and some of you already know this, but my background, obviously as a therapist, I love working with people from that standpoint, but from a more personal perspective, I'm really passionate about working with married moms because I have had a transformational journey of my own as a married mom. So I was 22 when I got married. I was a baby. I started grad school literally maybe 2 months after, not even a month and a half after I got married. My husband was starting a new job, and it was a very difficult job, and it was one that had a really high divorce rate. The statistics for this career path were not great for marriage. And I remember right at the beginning, before he even got the job, I had an opportunity to speak to someone that, was part of the hiring process. And he wanted to talk to me because he wanted to explain to me what I was signing on for, that this job was going to affect my life, his life, and our marriage. And after I heard all of that, I walked off, got off that call, went to my husband after like a 45-minute call with this person, and was just like, oh my gosh, we've got to do things differently. We cannot be a statistic. our marriage cannot fall victim the way these other people in this career have had to struggle. So it became this mission. It was kind of a background mission, but it was still strong enough in our minds that we knew we needed to be intentional. And what you'll learn about me is the word intentional has become my favorite word, because I feel like if we live our life with intention and we are very cognizant of the decisions that we make, then we do have the ability to take control in so many ways. Obviously, there are lots of parts of life that we cannot control, but there are so many aspects of life that we can if we make the right decisions and if we do things a certain way. So fast forward, I went into grad school. I was learning all these things about therapy and couples counseling, and I incorporated so much of that into my own life, into my marriage. And so on the marriage front, we really grew. My husband and I grew over the years, and we've been married 18 years now almost. And so we have worked and worked and worked, and it hasn't been the kind of work that's been really hard. It's just been the kind of work that mattered, right? Where you make decisions, you try to do your best, and when you screw up, you come back together, you talk, you resolve it, you heal with it, and you move forward and you try to make better decisions moving forward. So I have grown tremendously as a wife. I've learned about the kind of wife that I wanted to be. I've grown a lot in the wife that I am, and I have pursued those characteristics that I wanted to be, right? I wanted to be a certain kind of wife. I wanted to be supportive in a certain way. I wanted to be, be good at communication in a certain way, and I have intentionally worked on that. I am not perfect in any aspect of my life, but I am proud of myself because it is a priority for me to be the best version of who I am in every role I play, and especially as a wife. That has been so important to me because I've also walked alongside a lot of couples in my professional career who have struggled, and I've learned from their struggles. I've learned through my ability to help them. And a lot of them I was able to help, and a lot of them I couldn't, because the situation that they came into counseling with was so intense, and really they'd already gotten to the point where fixing the marriage was not going to be much of an option. And so that was very significant for me, because working with couples where the outcome isn't healing and resolution, but the outcome is divorce, that impacted me a lot, because I saw both sides of it. I saw what a good marriage could look like, and I saw what troubled marriages could look like, and everything in between. And I incorporated all of that into the kind of person that I wanted to be as a wife. And then fast forward several years after we were married, we had our son. We have one kiddo, one and done. But watching my transformation as a mom, it's still very much happening. He's 12, and I absolutely can see the differences in myself from where I was when I was pregnant to when he was a baby, a toddler, an elementary schooler. Like, every step of his growth and his development has been a step of growth and development for me. And the way that I have grown as a mom has also been very intentional. I've made lots of mistakes. I've had lots of insecurities. I still, we're parenting a preteen, so that comes with all its own things. But I've watched myself, and I'm very, I pride myself on being very in tune with myself. It doesn't mean that I'm not oblivious sometimes to what I'm doing, but I try to learn. I try to listen to feedback, whether it's from my husband or, other friends that can point out something that I'm doing, or family members. And I try to take that in, and I try to grow. And I'm very intentional in the relationship I try to cultivate with our son, because I want to be a specific kind of mom to him. I want to raise a child who is healthy and is strong and is confident and is a good man. But I also want him to have a really good relationship with me, and for my husband and I to be strong in how we parent together. But I'm constantly challenged as a mom, and I am constantly working on that. But that transformation has been strong and is ongoing. And honestly, the biggest part of my life, of my transformation, has been myself as a woman. And what I mean by that is my identity as Nevart, as wife, mom, they only make sense if me within myself, at the foundation of who I am as an individual, as a person, is strong. That is probably the hardest part of the transformation that I'm going to walk you through, because as a wife and as a mom, there are a lot of roles that we just naturally play. Like there are responsibilities, there are boxes we have to check, and there are things we have to do. And so we just go through life and we do them. I'm going to teach you how to do them very intentionally in a way that it leaves you fulfilled. But the hardest part is, as a woman, as an individual, there's not as much of a guide there. There are not as many check boxes. Like, yeah, maybe you have certain appointments you need to keep for doctors or for work or whatever. But work, that's its own identity, right? If you are an employee or an employer or whatever, that has its own role. But when you really stop to think about it, who you are as a woman is not really defined as much as who you are as a wife and as a mom, because you are the only one who will benefit from or miss out on how you take care of yourself, right? How you choose to nurture your growth. And I'm not talking about go get your nails done and give yourself some you time. I'm talking about identity development. Who you are as a person is what helps you be a better wife, a better mom, a more confident person, a more patient person, a more compassionate person, right? So it's very difficult to play the roles well as wife and mom when we in our own right, as our own individual, are not where we want to be. And so much of the time when I work with women in my practice as a therapist, they will come in struggling with a life situation, whether it's a relationship, parenting, confidence, anxiety, depression, marriage, whatever. But what always ends up happening is we try to cover as much of that as we can at first, because that's the heaviness that this person is coming in with and really wanting to deal with. But once I can get that client to get a little bit of that out, vent it out, and now we've found a little bit of peace there, now let's dig deep. And we really start working on who that woman is, who she is as a person, what are her characteristics, what is her identity. And only then does real growth start to happen. And all these other issues that she came in with for her marriage, for her parenting, for her relationship with her mom or whoever, that is when true change starts to happen, because I help these women create more confidence and stability within themselves as individuals. And when you have that solid foundation, that is when you are able to deal with everything else in your life. And it's not just deal with it in terms of deal with the stress and cope with it. It's live a life that has more meaning and fulfillment. And that word fulfillment, I don't know about you, but I want to enjoy my life. I want to feel like the things that I'm doing bring me joy, bring me purpose. And yeah, not every moment of every day is going to bring me joy or purpose. It's just not possible. But I would like to live a life of intention where I am able to cultivate as much purpose and fulfillment as I possibly can. And where I can do that is in different aspects of my life, in my relationships, in my home, but in myself, when I'm quiet with my thoughts. And I'm someone who struggles with anxiety. I've had anxiety since I was a child. I didn't recognize that that's what it was until I was quite into adulthood, probably late 20s, early 30s, I would say, is when I really labeled it for what it was. But in hindsight, I can see that it's always been a part of my life and the way my mind works. And so I look at that, and I look at how I've had to really learn to understand who I am. And by doing that is where I've been able to create more purpose, create more fulfillment, where I'm doing things not just because I have to do them, but because I want to do them. And when I do the things that I have to do, I find a way to do them in a way that also brings me joy, right? So that is what I'm going to teach you. And so this episode is to introduce you to where that passion for me comes from and how I'm going to do that with you. So a couple of things that I really want you to kind of take with you. We're going to do a lot of work on identity development, deciding who, like, first of all, understanding who you are right now, why you are the way that you are right now, what's led to that. And then making decisions about who do you want to be as an individual, as a wife, as a mom. Don't just go with the flow, right? Being intentional. I'm going to help you figure out what that looks like for you. And it's going to be different. I mean, you could grow up with a twin sister in the same home and be at a point in your life where your identity is very different, your goals are very different, your desires and your plans and the way you're raising your family and all of those things are different. And it can be hard to sometimes know who you are when you're just going through the rush of life and having all these other people influence you. And so my passion is to help you figure out who you are, what do you believe, how do you want to behave, what are your values, how do you see yourself, how do you want to see yourself, how do you think people see you. And then we're really going to work on role development, right? So what I mean by that is, how do you want to be seen in your specific roles? How do you want to see yourself in your specific roles? How do you want to behave as a wife, as a mom? How do you want to treat your husband? How do you want to treat your child? How do you want to handle specific situations, whether they're stressful situations or positive situations? How do you want to handle the routine and the day-to-day stuff that happens in your life, or the bigger challenges that life brings to you? How do you want to be in each of those roles so that you can feel confident in who you are, how you're behaving, and how the people you're interacting with relate back to you? And then the third thing we're really going to work on is how to build a confident you, how to be more confident in the things that you're doing every day, whether it's your appearance, your roles at home, your job, your belief systems, how you interact with other people, your voice, your confidence, you're able to handle confrontations, able to advocate for yourself, able to advocate for your children, able to talk to your husband or a family member that maybe pushes you to your limits, and maybe you want to set more boundaries. How to have that strength within you to be a strong woman, a strong, confident, empowered woman. And, a lot of that involves, dealing with hardships, learning how to not take things personally. I am a very sensitive person. I have had to learn, and this is probably one of the things I'm most proud of in my transformation, is how to not lose my sensitivity and my compassion, but how to gain the ability to control it and to harness it and to not take things personally. I mean, I was that person that if you told me something, critical about me, or just constructive criticism, or you just were upset by something I did and it was unintentional, it would bring me to tears. It was just so heavy for me, the guilt and the anxiety, all of it. And now, I'm still that person at my core, but I am not controlled by my emotions anymore. I am so much more stronger, so much more confident. And that is what I love teaching women. And I've seen that transformation. I've had clients come to me and, I've worked at this point, I can't even tell you. I mean, it's got to be in the hundreds of women over the course of my career that I have helped come into counseling feeling small and leaving feeling confident and strong. And it's not every day, all day, that we feel confident and strong. I mean, just realistically speaking, life is full of ups and downs, but at the core of them being able to recognize that they don't have to be the way that they've always been. If they want to change and they want to grow, that they have the capacity and the power to do that. They just need a guide, someone that can take everything they throw and kind of organize it, present it back, and walk them through how to establish the steps to become that person. And let's be honest, guys, we all would love to be stronger and more confident. And to be honest with you, I love doing it, and I'm good at doing it. And that's why I love my job, because I see how I can help people. I don't walk away from my work with women feeling defeated. And sometimes, obviously, it doesn't always work. And there are some women whose difficulties are rooted in something much bigger, and there are other things that have to be resolved before that part of them can grow. But I feel really thankful that so much of the time that I work with women and I walk away from those interactions, even as a therapist, I walk away very fulfilled because I've been able to help someone make that transition and make that change and transformation in their lives. And that's why over the years, my kind of where I'm strong in my therapy work is with women like this. So this is what I'm going to do. And this is why I've rebranded my podcast. And this is why I've changed who I want to work with, because it brings me joy. I am passionate about it. I've seen it work. I am able to do it for so many people. And the part of what fulfills me is knowing that that woman now gets to move forward and not just be happy with herself, but lead her family in a very different direction. Because, and we're going to talk a lot about this in the upcoming episodes, I believe strongly, I've seen it in my life, I've seen it in other women's lives that I've helped, we set the tone. The woman, the wife, the mom sets the tone in the home. And I'm going to teach you what that means and how to do it. So thank you for being with me today. I am going to wrap this episode up here, and I hope that you'll come along with me on this journey, this new journey for me, this journey for you, and that you will kind of take yourself down this path of transformation with me. Just see what's in store, see what can change in your life. And I hope you'll stick around, follow my podcast, subscribe so that you don't miss an episode. I'm on all the major podcast platforms, and I also have a Facebook group that I am creating that is going to be just for moms, for married moms who want to go along this journey for me. I have a lot of things that I've already been planning and creating that is all, again, I'm doing this very differently than I've done before. There's a much clearer plan and path, and I'm really excited about all the things that I'm bringing you. So come along with me on this journey. Thanks for being with me today, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.